So good afternoon everyone, and guys, welcome to your another important session for the government schemes. Okay, so this is in line with the 75 most important schemes that I have highlighted with you if you are preparing for the NABARD examination, because we have started the schemes ministry wise. Then I have framed a list of most important schemes which you must not leave if you are targeting the NABARD examination. So for majority of schemes, guys, we have already provided you the list of the sessions or the links on which that specific scheme has been covered. There were some schemes which were left which we have not covered on the YouTube, but again we are trying now to cover all those schemes so that this list of 75 schemes can be ready for you and you guys can approach these videos for your examination preparation. In this context, guys, if I talk about here, previously I have taken a session on the ship related schemes, that is schemes on shipping sector, which includes your shipbuilding financial assistance scheme, shipbuilding development scheme, and then is your maritime development fund scheme. Today is a very important scheme of Ministry of Panchayat, that is your SVAMITA scheme, which is very important, that is survey of village and mapping with the improvised technology in village areas, that is a SVAMITA scheme here. Now this is a scheme which is similar to a scheme that we have already covered on our YouTube lecture, that is Digital India Land Record Modernization Program. The difference here is that first of all, it's a scheme where the government said what we are doing is we are using drones to actually map the areas of village. That is the first thing. And why we want this thing? We want this thing so that property disputes can be reduced. Then we can have a better village development planning. We can have a better analysis on what can be the major plans, what can be the initiatives that can be taken here. We can help the persons in getting the loans, because in villages, you know that when a land is disputed, generally the persons are not able to get loans, so they can get loans also. Then important thing is it will reduce the land issues. Okay, so that is the thing with which SVAMITA was started. Now the difference is DILNMP is basically digitizing the land records, which is a scheme of Ministry of Rural Development. Whereas if I talk about SVAMITA, it's a scheme of Ministry of Panchayati Raj here, which was set up in the year 2020, where it was launched in pilot phases. It was launched in pilot phases in the 9 states of India, that is Haryana, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Punjab, Rajasthan, and Andhra Pradesh. These were the 9 states in which your SVAMITA scheme was started. Okay, so always try to ask your question that if it's a name is saying survey of village and mapping, now what is the thing they are going to do? They are going to do survey, because the decoding the scheme. Survey is going to be done, under which they are going to map. Now what they are going to do, they are going to use an improvised technology, which will be like drones here. This is what they are going to do here. Okay, and that is what if you say about the why of a scheme, why the scheme has been launched. I told you why, so that we can have a accurate land records for rural planning, reduction of property related disputes. Then financial stability can be brought up here. Financial stability can be brought up here so that citizens in rural India, so that and it would be enabling them to use their property as a financial asset, because they can take a loan on the properties. Now if they can take a loan for the government, it will be helpful, because it will be helping the government to determine the property tax here. Now you're talking about survey of village. So that would be done with the help of survey infrastructures. So you have to create survey infrastructures for proper mapping of the village. And what it will lead to? Why you want it thing? Why you want this thing? You want this thing because you want a preparation of Gram Panchayat development plans. That's again something you want to do. So this is why we have launched this scheme, which I have told you it was launched at pilot phases in 9 states of India. Then in 2021, it was implemented all across the India. It's a scheme, as I told you, it's a scheme of Ministry of Panchayati Raj, because all these things, if I talk about here, these are issues which are actually addressed by the Panchayat people. Property disputes are common here. कुछ हो नहीं रहा, plan नहीं बन रहा, तो पंचायत से तो बना रही है वो चीज. तो the ministry is Ministry of Panchayati Raj. And when you talk about survey here, you talk about survey. So survey is going to be done by Survey of India, that is this Technological Implementation Agency. Okay, so it's a central sector scheme, guys, which means it's a scheme which is 100% funded by the central government of India. Then comes an important part here, that is what you want to do. Now I told you why we want this scheme. Now the thing is, what are the things we are going to do under this specific scheme? How we will execute all the things that we have talked about in the thing कि हमें ये करना है, क्यों करना बता दे, अब करना कैसे ये देखते हैं. सबसे पहले गवर्नमेंट ने बोला वी आर गोइंग टू एस्टैब्लिश अ कॉन्टिन्यूअस ऑपरेटिंग रेफरेंस सिस्टम नेटवर्क. वी नीड लार्ज स्केल मैपिंग. So that is why drones will be used for large scale mapping. We need a proper communication initiative. We need a proper planning application so that planning can be done. In that case, Gram Panchitra app comes forward here. We have to monitor whether we are on right track or not, online monitoring system. And then comes the documentation support. The documentation support has to be provided whether the things, that are the things we are doing, we are mapping some things, is it doing right or not. तो ये करना चाहते हो. अब आता है what you are going to. तो आपने बोला हम ये करना चाहते हैं, करोगे कैसे, how you are going to do this thing. So which areas you are going to include here, because you talked about village areas, which areas. So it said that all the areas, even including the abadi areas like inhabited land, inhabited area, which are cohabited, which are basically in contiguous to the abadi or the wadis or the bastis in rural areas, they will also be included. Okay, so we will include all the parts. So schools, colleges, all these things are going to be included under the part, under this specific mapping when we're talking about. Now comes a very important thing. You're talking about the documentation. The part is who is actually going to provide that specific document. Because if I'm saying that you are mapping my land, and while after mapping my land, you are going to say that, okay guys, this is now your new land documentation. This is now, as per the mapping, this is your land. Now the point is who is going to distribute that property cards, because सर्वे ऑफ इंडिया ने सर्वे कर दिया, पंचायती राज ने बोल दिया हमें ये कार्ड देना है, तो वो कार्ड देगा कौन, प्रॉपर्टी कार्ड्स कौन देगा. That is actually the responsibility of state government. That is important. So it's a central government scheme, which means it is 100% funded by the central government. But the point is there, the responsibility of distribution of property card lies with the state government here. Okay. The distribution of property card is actually the responsibility of the state government to tackle here. And for that purpose, what is going to be done here is that Ministry of Panchayati Raj is going to basically have an agreement. Your Ministry of Panchayati Raj is going to have an agreement with State Revenue Department plus Survey of India, so that states can also, okay, so Survey of India, Ministry of Panchayati Raj, State Revenue Department, to provide record of rights, and for that an agreement has to be signed between these three entities. Okay, so Ministry of Panchayati Raj कर रहा है, वो generate कर रहा है, पर जो distribution वाला part है, the generation is done by this SVAMITA scheme, but if I talk about the distribution part, that is actually done by the state governments. Clear? Now for that purpose, as I've told you, state government and Survey of India has to sign an agreement for basically that property cards. Now if I talk about, we are using the drones here. So what is the quality of mapping that we're going to do here? The government said that we are going to do a quality mapping which is on the scale of 1:500, which is a very high quality grading is going to be done here. And what is 1:500 means that you can zoom up that specific mapping up to 500 zoom, 500x. That is generally known as 1:500 mapping. Okay. Then things like, as I have already told you, all the assets of Gram Panchayats like village roads, ponds, canals, open spaces, Anganwadis, all these things would be surveyed and would be mapped properly. Okay. Now the monitoring, if I talk about here, is going to be done at 4 levels. That is at national level, the state level, the district level, and then you have at a panchayat level. Okay, this is where your monitoring and implementation of the scheme is going to take place here. Now for better execution of the scheme, the government has launched two specific apps under the SVAMITA scheme. One of them is known as Sahyog and the other one is known as Sarthi. सहयोग इज बेसिकली, सहयोग कौन देगा आपको, अगर कोई प्रॉपर्टी ओनर का कोई इशू आता है, सहयोग देना होता है ना उसको, तो यानी कि इट्स एन एप्लीकेशन टू कैप्चर द ओनरशिप डाटा ऑफ प्रॉपर्टी ओनर्स. फॉर ओनरशिप पार्ट it is that Sarthi is helping you. If there is any correction here, there is any issue here, then Sarthi comes. So here it is saying Sarthi is basically an automation process of features or map correction which is otherwise done manually. तो ये किसके लिए दिया गया, कोई correction के लिए तो Sarthi है, but if it's an ownership data, that is going to be taken by Sahyog. And this is all about this SVAMITA scheme here. Okay, this is all about SVAMITA scheme here. I hope that is clear to you now. So, do let me know if you have any doubt with regards to SVAMITA scheme, and now it's a time for you guys to tell me that whether you have understood the scheme or not. So do let me know about the homework question for regarding the SVAMITA scheme in the comment section. Okay, what is going to be the answer here? Then guys, with regards to previous session of shipbuilding, so we will be discussing about both these questions of SVAMITA as well as the question on the shipbuilding scheme in the next class, where I will be discussing both the previous questions of the YouTube sessions. Okay, so this is all about your session, guys. I hope the session is fruitful for you. Okay, it's just a crisp scheme of SVAMITA. Okay, I hope the session is fruitful for you. And yes, for the 75 list of schemes that I have talked about here, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, okay, where I have made a proper video also. And then for the then for that specific thing, you can, for the PDF, you can subscribe to our Telegram channel, where on this specific channel, the link is given in the description below. You can download that most important 75 schemes list also. See the person, bright our future. The point is that, buddy, that first of all you have to look at the paper of ECGC. Okay, go with the previous year paper of ECGC. Try to understand that what are the type of questions being asked here. I think then map that specific thing with your document. I think for that purpose, ECGC, your boosters can really help you. All-in-one boosters can really boost you. But I think that also try to look at the previous year papers and try to figure out which area is more important. Because which area is more important, whether they are asking majority of questions from general affairs or whether they are asking questions from your financial related topics or banking related topics. So you have to figure out that specific thing. And I think in that case, utilize your booster magazine, because that can really help you for your ECGC preparation also. But PYQ should be must. Analyze that and then figure out. Okay? Chali. So I think I have addressed your doubt. So this is all about the session, guys. Still, if you have any doubt in your mind, feel free to ask your doubt. That is by dropping me an email at hello@edutab.co.in, or you can also have a call with me on the number 81462 07241. Okay. So this is all about your session for the day. I wish you all the best for the examination, guys. Keep working hard and keep preparing hard. Okay. Bye bye. Chalo. Bye.